Okay, so this is the studio where I have many Eventide harmonizers as the centerpiece of what I do, where I mix and master and create the music. Um, it's mostly sound or kind of effect-driven compositions. So you could come inside and I will show you what we've got here. This is where all the VSIG file designing takes place. What I've got in this rack is basically starting here. We got the Eclipse, we've got an 8000 Orville, and a 3000, which is fully upgraded to the 3500 with all the presets, and it also has Italo's presets on here, here, here. I've got the whole libraries, plus my own. We got a Lexicon PCM81, which I like using for swirling effects in parallel. This top 8000 here, I'm normally using for mix down, doing like mastering, multi-band compression, loading maybe on DSP-A an EQ, and on DSP-B a compressor. And sometimes this is just used to run the analog outs from this old Mackie mixer. Goes analog in here, and then I'll run a digital out to my console, which consists sometimes of some Roland VS2000s, which have a digital in. But in this case right now I'm just using two Tascam DP32s synced together. So I got 64 tracks, and I'm basically just using the analog outs. So this VLZ mixer has the auxes sent to the Sound Sculpture Switchblade GLs, which I have coupled together via analog balanced in and out. And all of these machines are hooked into this switchblade. So basically, it's an analog, got 16 in, 16 out, all balanced, but the controls are digital. So basically, I can route anything to anything and then save it as a preset. And it gives you nice pristine audio. So although I only have a couple of auxes, those go to the switchblade, which then process all of this, including the Orville and the 8000s in quad analog. So as far as compression goes, I've got a Ure 1178 here, which really just levels off everything and protects it as it goes down to what used to be tape and is now digital. And underneath that I have a UBK Fatso, which emulates the tape saturation. So basically I can drive this and give it more of a tape or more earthy sound, especially to these more pristine units. And then I could run it through this just to keep the levels and the meters happy when it goes in there without distortion. And for preamps, I'm using the Roland GP100, and I'm also using Boss GT Pro, because I like the kind of a little bit lower quality sound of it, and then having the Eventides put the shimmer all over to kind of add this grit into that. Sometimes these are being run through the 3000 because of that kind of earthy converter it has, which has a more dark, gritty sound to it. And I can mix the music, having some things be like kind of gritty and earthy with a lot of texture and character, and then I could add some shimmer and sheen with the more high-end recent harmonizers. So basically I can't take you through every single thing that I do in here, but you can see that it's a pretty nice setup. I've wired everything myself using Mogami quad console cable and Nutric Gold XLRs and TRS connectors. So everything that's supposed to be balanced is, everything that's instrument level is, but the switchblades basically balance that out, and occasionally use the pre's in the Mackie 1604. This is a Roland Space Echo. Everybody's familiar with this. It's an RE201. I service these myself. It just had a new tape put in, and sometimes I'll feed the tape even into the Mackie on this channel, and then add some magic all around it. And it's a Roland RSS-10. It creates a 3D effect, kind of brings everything out of the speakers, and I'm trying to replicate that on the 8000 right now. And down in here we have an RSS 303. It's not hooked in right now. I'm trying to figure out a good use for it, but I got the remote for it over here, along with the Eventide Ethernet remote, which I just installed a brand new Optrex 5010 screen in, since you guys decided to discontinue it and not offer it anymore. I found out what kind of screen it was, and I put a brand new display in. So over here is a superlative looper that's got 8 stereo loops possible, which is one of the ideas I had for the 9000. If we could split the resources, maybe take 2 DSPs or 2 effects chains, and try to run 8 stereo loops, and then use the first 2 effects chains for just processing power, because that's already going to be what, the equivalent of 4 8000s in the first place. So I think it could replace a lot of sophisticated looping equipment. The Ederols, this thing and this thing, it's a UM880, so those are basically just like MIDI patch bays, so I could use very not use that many foot pedals, or this is a MIDI keyboard over here, and it's got drum sounds here, and I control my Integra 7 and some of the synth functions in the harmonizer with it as well. So this mixer is slaved together with that mixer, which gives me another 16 channels, and that's feeding stuff like an old Boss Pro SE70 and a Boss VF1. I have a lot of like 3D chorus and stuff. I like a lot of spatial effects, and that's one of my custom presets, IE, or Infinite Echo Fuzz, which is made out of many different delay lines with pitch shifting in between to kind of, I would say the sound wave is like teased hair or something. And that's the Electrix repeater, which is no longer made. It has a cult following, and I think we could actually get a lot of these functions on the 9000 too, which would be great. Underneath here I have a pedal board, which I'm not taking out. It's got some Boss pedals in it, and I have one of my VS2000s just occupying the space here. I got another one in the closet. I like to change up the desks once in a while, especially if I want to do digital. This has digital in and out. And over here we have all the manuals. This is morning reading, we could call it, and manuals from some other stuff that I'm working with. And up here is a collection of Boss pedals, which I don't really feel like getting rid of, because they have their own textures and things, and sometimes I try to recreate them, in some kind of enhanced way on the harmonizers. So yeah, that's basically the setup. Everything in the back, like I said, is all hand wired. So if I would be working with the 9000, I could even take this 8000 out of here, shove the 9000 in, and it's going to be in a really high grade professional installation with really good, like the best cables. And on the website, on the page, you'll see that I have all the audio and the power cables separated out to not introduce any noise. Everything is well shielded. Yeah, and then I make beats and use sampling with this MV 8800. It has an expansion card with R-bus, digital ins and outs, 8 analog outs, so you could actually, if you do a drum kit, you could process each part of the kit separately using the 8 ins on the Tascam. So yes, it's a combination of very professional with very amateur put together, but the studio has worked very well, and there's something about putting this stuff together yourself that really makes a difference. So what I got on the mixer right now, this is one of my pieces. That's obviously Eventide sound. And basically what I'll show you is towards the end, of the piece how certain depth is achieved. Okay, so we have this section. That's basically one signal that's being split in parallel to many different touches and effects, creating a lot of depth. So I'm just playing with the other line in the back, and you can hear how it's really just branching off. Do a lot of parallel stuff and recombining it, processing that through stereo and series, lots of stuff. And that kind of carnival sound I got going in the back, that's a preset I made called Organ Shifter. That's on the Eclipse. You can hear the guitar here sounds like a wind. And it's gated well enough that you don't have everything smearing and getting muddy together. So it's very expansive, but it's also gated, so you can still clearly hear the notes. A little bit of Diamond Rain coming in. Towards the end, where the solo is, that's where I use my pitched fuzz effect. Right here. Many, many, many delays put together. You can actually hear it get a little bit further apart and then back together again. Also gated. Solo. You hear all the events as they fade out. Vibrato, swirling, lots of depth. So, yeah, I'm not going to bore everybody with whole bits and pieces, but just to see, you know, all of that stuff was presets that were already on the Eventide with some custom settings, or presets just made from the ground up on VSync. So that's the end of this room, and I'll take you into the living room where I test the stuff for live use using an amplifier rather than monitors and, you know, all this really grounded stuff, like just what I'm trying to test for live performances, which I use another 8000 for. So basically you just take one 8000, dump it to the other, and then if it's working here, I check it there, it's going to work live. So that's it. Go in there now. Okay, so this is the living room, or the room where I test the live stuff. So basically I got an 8000 over here, and I've got a Boss GT Pro, it's another one like I have in there, and the Looperlative that performs 8 stereo loops. MIDI is controlled through a Roland FC300, and the amp is a Jazz Chorus 40. It's one of the newer ones, maybe 2 years old, and it allows true stereo input. But what I'm doing here is I got the guitar going in the front end on mono. It's coming out the back, going mono into the preamp. Then it's going the stereo effects loop to the 8000, which runs in stereo to the Looperlative, which then returns back into the amp. And the amp has a cool setting that allows you to run it in either series or parallel. So and it processes true stereo. Left will be doing something different than the right speaker. So this is basically like the amp that I got after getting neck deep in this Eventide processors. So I'm just basically checking how things sound in here. This is a little something I've been working on. Like that. And you'll hear as the crystals rise some type of eerie detuning in the back. Want me to work on the 9000? Put it here, check it out. Put it in there, check it out, and see how much we could overload that thing. It'd be great if we could get the properties of the superlative LP1 and the electrics repeater together, right? Using half the resources, then use a quarter of the resources, let's say, for preamplification, another quarter for, you know, crazy H9000 effects, and just put it all in one box. I think that it's capable of doing it. Just got to figure out a way to work the system, work the software. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and that's the finish.